And we are recording. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the Creditor Academy class once again today. Today marks the start of our third course where we'll be exploring more of the details of the non-UCC, but really the Treasury Banking System itself that Patrick described so eloquently, as well as establishing a UCC Contract Trust account. And additionally, we will continue to cover the crucial topic of performance and payments bonds, which is essential knowledge for anyone looking to navigate the monetary system as an individual banker. It's important to note, once again, that while I am your guide in this course, I am not the originator of this information. The insights we will explore have been brought to light by the great guru, Patrick Devine. His tireless research and dedication led him to uncover a remedy for freeing oneself from the monetary system. After 9 years and over 5,560 documents, Patrick Devine discovered the key to liberation in 2016. Then he disappeared and said, "Now it's up to you to set yourself free." This live 4-day course will cover the final process of Patrick Devine's great works, as well as information from others who helped him along the way. Let's begin. All right, guys, we have quite a bit of stuff to cover today. Very important topics. First, I want to address a couple of, or actually a lot of questions that I've been getting that have been really similar. That's in reference to the first video that we made, which was, Paul Michael, I'm learning a lot, but I'm trying to set off a bill right now, whether it's a utility, a bank, a mortgage, or whatever. What do I got to put together so I can send out this week so I can at least start a process? Okay. If that is helpful, I can go over that in 10 minutes, and then we'll get into the meat of the issue. By a show of hands, I need at least 10. Go ahead and blah, 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 blah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 30, 40, 50. Okay. All right. Right.
Thank you.
I figured that. I get that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to be as clear as possible. If you could, go ahead and mute your mics and let's go through this together. And then I'll take a quick Q&A. I got a bill right here. This is a bill from Evergreen Health that's here in Washington State. And this was a perfect example bill as soon as I received it, because I was just like, this has everything in relation to what it is that we're talking about. Let me first, before I get into that, let me pull up my drive here so then I could show you. My drive. Let's go here. Good. And share screen. Well, I'll share screen in just a moment. Okay, so here's a bill, Evergreen Health, they want money, okay? What you want to do is, and if you have a bill that's right by you or nearby, go ahead and grab it and kind of look at it along with me so then you can identify live where to look for this. Now, before I begin, this is for educational purposes only. None of this is supposed to be legal advice. Go ahead and consult an attorney if you want legal advice from there, okay? Entertainment purposes only. On the bill, what you're going to be looking for is what is attached to your UCC Contract Trust surety. Your UCC Contract Trust surety, as we've discussed, is either your social security number, your certificate of live birth, your DD-214, your marriage certificate, your license, whatever it might be. When you receive a bill, there's going to be an account number attached to that UCC surety, okay? So when you get a bill, the first thing that you're going to ask is, where's the account number? Now, it can be deceiving because a lot of bills have 2 account numbers. One's the account number for the account that's set up with like the utility company. And then there's an account number that's in reference to the bill itself. The account number that you're going to be looking for is the one that's attached to like the utility company, because that's the one that's attached to the UCC Contract Trust surety. Okay. So I got this bill. I'm going to try to show it as best. I took out all the names and stuff, but in the very top of this bill, and it says it greatly, you will see guarantor account, or it could be grantor account. That is the account number. If this rings a bell for a second from what we kind of went into yesterday, you're the grantor. Remember from your private bank, the grantor, same thing. The guarantor and the grantor is synonymously the same. So when you find, if you don't see guarantor, that's okay, because the account number's relinquished to them anyways. Then when you do, even down here, it says the guarantor's name, account, statement, date, and so on. What you're going to do is you're going to take this bill and you have to do one thing with it, which is two things. One, get the information off of this, which is the account number and the date of the bill when it's being brought upon. So so when I look at this, I see the guarantor's account. It's like a 6-digit number. And then I see the date of which the statement is given unto me. And then those are the two numbers that I need from there. The other thing that I'm going to do with this piece of paper is, who can take a wild guess what we're going to do on the back?
Endorse it.
You're going to endorse it. Okay. Now the question is, what are you going to endorse it with? Anybody have any idea which endorsement we're going to be using?
Banker's acceptance?
No, we're going to use your bills of credit endorsement. We went through that in presentation 1. I'm going to pull that up again. And you will find it.
United States, is that the one?
Here's your bills of credit. Go to the very bottom, your acknowledgement and endorsement. You have to have an acknowledgement of the bill, and you got to endorse it. This goes back to the pyramid when we first were together. Where is that? Oh, I don't have it right now. Anyways, we will just look at this for right now. So this bill is acknowledged as a foreign commercial bill of credit for the contractor's credit monetary obligation from your UCC Contract Trust. For the assigned value, this is where you'll write the value of the bill that has been presented to you, okay? And per the UCC laws, it is endorsed and returned for set-off, okay? Now, endorsed and returned, I'm going to get into the performance bond here in just a little bit moment, but this is the endorsement return for set-off and the payment settlement against the noted foreign commercial construction contract number. The construction contract number is the account number, okay? That's where you put the account number. From the required contractor surety performance bond and or payment bond. Remember, the payment bond is a depository account, okay? The performance bond is what's used to pay off all your bills or invoices that are sent to you. And this is the interest accruing account bond, and that's what you're going to be drawing from. Now, it could be both. A lot of the transactions I do both. I draw from the depository and I withdraw from the performance. And then I put that into the contract. Together, they are listed and traded as a fidelity bond. The IRS requires a 1099-C to be filed by the UCC contractor to show that the commercial UCC national debt has been canceled. After 3 days, this action comes under Title 15 USC Section 1 as a charge to the IRS CID. Put your a last name, first name at the bottom, and then you'll put this on a 45-degree angle on the back of this, okay? This is, you can also put down here, instead of the shadow UCC employee, you can put individual banker. You get, because this is a banker's endorsement. We're going to get into accepted for value. I got a lot of questions about that, but we're not there at the accepted for value quite yet. But this is your set off for your bill in the most immediate, okay? So with that being said, so now you have your bill, you have the information off of it, you have the endorsement, put that off to the side, okay? Now next is you're gonna have your non-UCC. It should already be filled out. I have a legitimate copy, but anyways, this is my non-UCC. This is a copy that I just made, but I have my, you have the forever stamp. You're endorsed your forever stamp in the top right-hand corner. You endorse it with two things. One, your individual banker's EIN number. And then the second is your actual signature across the forever stamp. Above that, you will have your registered mailing filing number when you registered mail it to yourself. This could be handwritten. It could be printed. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just remember that your UCC, non-UCC, when you have you're putting the copy when you receipt it to yourself. You always hold on to the original. Every time I send out a bill or, try to do my SF forms or something like that, I keep the originals and I send copies to whom of which I'm corresponding to, and then I'll keep everything there. So you'll just put that with it. So now you got your non-UCC, great. Okay, put that with the bill. Then you're going to take your identification. Your identification, which is what we just looked at, which is this bad boy, your proof of public law identification. Now, is this absolutely required? It's not absolutely required, but it does help because now you're showing your authority. This is what pushes things along and for people to respond to you a lot quicker. It's having your identification, your numbers, and the laws that you're invoking. This, if you want to go ahead and get this done this week, I highly recommend that. I put this paperwork with all of my documents to go ahead and just show by what authority I'm operating under. So now you'll put that aside. And now we'll go to the actual SF forms. Okay, let's go to the, let's start with the SF30. Okay, your SF30 in the top, once again, this is your name and your individual banker is your title, and you're in the republic of whatever state that you're in with the zip code, the 9-digit zip code associated. The amendment modification number is up to your discretion. Anybody can choose their own amendment modification number. This is just for easement of filing, because if you're corresponding more than once or twice with the same entity, you might want to do your numericals a little bit differently, like number 1, number 2, number 3, to separate it. The effective date. The effective date depends on the bill date or the account that you're trying to liquidate. For example, this one, Tom is doing the technical analysis and control support division. This was the date of which that's the actual date that he was going to go ahead and do the submission. So that would be correct. I was going to do another example, because if you have an SF 14, 14, 14, 16, or the 14, 16, and 14, 18, and it asks for an effective date of the performance bond and you're liquidating from, well, if it's a social security number, then that's where account or certificate of live birth account, you would put the birth date of that contract modification because you're going that far back. The requisition phase number, that's non-applicable. This is non-applicable, and this is non-applicable as well. Let's see. There we go. Okay. The amendment of solicitation number, as we reviewed in the first video, this is where you would put court numbers in documents, okay? A solicitation is anything that's being put on you by a police officer or, I mean, that's what solicitation is people coming to your door. That's why we have no solicitation is we don't want to be solicited for whatever the for-profit corporation is trying to put on us, whether it's a speeding ticket, a court case, or whatever it might be. This is where your solicitation number for your court case would go. The contract ID code is it would be like the case number or the, it'd be like your certificate of live birth, your driver's license number, your mortgage title, your social security number, your state UCC Contract Trust numbers, whether it's federal or state that everything's being drawn from. Then you have down below, you will just go down, you'll click here for the modification of contract. Once again, you'll match the contract ID code with the modification of contract code. You'll hit modification of contract, and then you'll put inside of here, I mean, you can write a number of things. You can say modify contract and liquidate existing securities to settle account and deposit for issuer's EIN. Or you can choose a commercial bank. Or you can say, take further payments for my utility bills out of the performance and payment bond and send me a receipt. You know, you can make any combination to the modification of contract that you see best fit. And then pursuant to this non-UCC registered mail number, issuer hereby orders the total liquidation or partial liquidation, whatever amount, of the U.S. government collateral trust certificate and deposits those into the issuer's individual private banker's nonprofit EIN number account, which he mentions down here. Now, let me give you another kind of wording that you could put in here, just to give you guys a couple different examples. Let's see. So you could also say, like, per the attached SF 1418 performance bond form is for set off of $800, whatever your bill is, for the charges using the UCC Social Security surety. And the reason why I said UCC Social Security surety is because the account number that I'm referencing from the hospital is attached to the Social Security number. So I make it a point to say, hey, we're doing an $800 set off for charges off of the UCC Social Security surety, and the account number associated with that Social Security UCC Contract Surety Trust is the account number of the hospital on what they created for me. So per the attached SF 1418 performance bond form is for set off of $800 for the charges using the UCC Social Security surety on account, and then I put the account number as associated with the guarantor's account number at Evergreen Health. Oh, I put two account numbers. Oh yeah, one of the account numbers was for the actual bill itself, and the other account number was the actual account that's associated with Evergreen. Okay. Let's go back to, let me switch my screens. All right. Once again, you'll put your name and title below, and then you'll put your signature and seal at the bottom. And then this is for the other contractor. All right, on to the SF 1418. Let me see. 1414. This is consent of surety. So first and last name, your address, the individual principal, which is really you, the living. You're the individual banker because per your non-UCC, you're the secured party over your surety debtor anyway. So this is where you are the individual principal of that account. Then the corporation which the individual banker is associated with is the private bank that you created. And that's why you put individual banker all caps and all caps with your name there. And then finally, the surety that you're having control over, the corporate individual surety's name is your all caps name. And then once again, with all of these things, you will sign and affix your seal. Okay, so signature here, signature here, signature here, and then put your seal or either right next to your name or over here. I've seen it a couple of number of ways. But that's where you get your consent of surety. Once again, the contractor's number would be matching. You'll put a modification number to your specifications as well as the date that's in relation to this. For all of these, that's Tom's example. It's today's date. So there's that, 14/8/14/16. Let's go to that one next. This is your first, last name, individual banker. Once again, this is an easy form. You're the individual banker. And then this is the surety once again. And you see this little notation underneath, a UCC Social Security surety for a private for-profit organization. So they're just calling it out right there. I use this sentence almost every single time. If you were going to do your certificate of live birth, you say a UCC COLB surety for a private for-profit organization, or I think there's another kind of sentence that they use, or you might use your driver's license or anything, but a lot of those are still connected to your Social Security account, so it really applies to most things. And finally, you'll put the contract date and the contract number that's similar to up above. Now the 14/18. Where is my 14? I probably passed it, didn't I? Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay. 14/18, same thing. I mean, all of this is very similar information. For the 14/16 and the 14/18, you're going to see right here the penal sum of bond. Okay, whatever you're about to take something for account, like for the example I just made for the performance bond. Okay, I said, all right, I'm going to take $800 out of there. Okay, to go ahead and pay off this bill. You're going to put $800 in here for the set off for the bond. And then for the opposite, if you're going to do the other one, whatever that you say for the performance or the payment bond that you put in your SF30 modification, you'll also put that number inside of here. It's just giving clear instructions of where the assets are going. Okay, that is it for the SF forms. What I also like to do as an added measure, because again, I like to express my authority anytime that I'm, corresponding with one of these agencies. I actually print this out, the non-UCC laws found in UCC 9, because the question is, where do you get this authority? I've never seen a non-UCC before. I'm a clerk, I'm a CFO, I'm all this and that. I just straight up print all of this and put it inside of my packet as well. I've even had it with this inside of it as well, because this also shows the choice of law. The choice of law should already be in your non-UCC financing statement already underneath the optional filer reference data. But this just kind of further confirms it inside of here. So I just print this off, put it as part of the pack. Is it necessary? It's not necessary. I just like making every precaution that I could. And then finally, what you'll do is a cover letter. A cover letter. Let me see if I have an example cover letter here that I made for demonstration. Give me a moment to pull that up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'll put this, I'll be posting course number 3 today, but I'll put the copy of the cover letter inside of course number 3. Copy of cover, now I gotta find it. Okay, here you go. Mr. Rowland, so you're gonna put your top name and your address, and then you're gonna put to whom you're addressing it to. Is it a bank? Is it a utility company, etc.? Then you'll put the address of which underneath. Notice the agent is notice to principal. Dear CFO, sir, madam, I, Mr. Rowland, am writing to formally write for the liquidation and settlement of my mortgage account. Enclosed, please find my current mortgage bill duly endorsed on the back. Additionally, I'm submitting the required standard forms, the SF30, 1414, 1416, 1418, to provide clear instructions for the liquidation of the payment and the performance bond as detailed in the accompanying documents. By my authority, under my individual banker's mandate, I am attaching my non-UCC to show that I currently hold a priority lien over this surety. Therefore, I am formally ordering a modification of the contract and liquidation without delay. This bill is acknowledged as a foreign commercial bill of credit for the contractor's credit monetary foreign commercial construction contract number. The construction contract number is the account number. From the required contractor surety performance bond and or payment bond, labor bond, or both. Together they are listed and traded as fidelity bonds. The IRS requires a 1099-C. I'm just really reiterating what's already on the endorsement here. But the UCC contractor to show the commercial UCC national debt has been canceled. As the executive owner of this account, I want funds from the payment bond to be deposited in my current checking account in a commercial bank or your individual banker's EIN, wherever you want it, a check to your house, whatever you so feel that you want to choose. My current checking account is this commercial bank of whatever accounts that you have on file. After 3 days, this action comes under Title 15 USC Section 1 as a charge to the IRS, CID. Failure to adhere to this directive will necessitate an investigation request from the CID, Treasury Inspector General, IRS. I appreciate your prompt attention to this matter, and I look forward to a favorable resolution. And then you'll put your name, individual banker, and then without recourse. I got to edit that other person's name. But that's pretty much about it. So recap. So now you got your cover letter, you got your non-UCC, you got your endorsed bill, you have your SF30, your 1414, your 1416, your 1418, and you have your public identification sheet as well to show the authority that you're operating under, which is both registered mail just as well as registered mail with the non-UCC. Okay, that covers it. Any questions before I move on to today's topic off of that? Let's see. Let's start with Andre. Okay, let's go to Ernie.
What?
Okay, let's go to Dr. Mary. Okay, let's go to Patrick Smith.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Nice. All right, on it.
All right. 2 questions. In some of the letters and templates, and even the non-UCC, it says, transfer proceeds to an EIN. I understand the concept of an EIN. Like you can open a bank account with an EIN or like a Treasury Direct account people have talked about.
Right.
I'm just curious, when you are requesting them to transfer proceeds to an EIN, where does that go? Is that
Goes
a
into
credit
your
or
private
IRS?
bank account. It's kind of like this. I understand what you're saying, Patrick, but just to give you a correlation here, when you go to a utility company after being brand new to this utility company, maybe you move to a new area, and you go ahead and do a contract with them, it's opening up an account, and it's an account number that's made up specifically for you, but attached to your UCC surety. So what you have done with the IRS EIN is you've done the same thing. They ask you for your name and they ask you for your social security number to attach that account so they can make an account to be attached to that social security number. So it's the same all around. We just did it in the private.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are those funds accessible later by you somehow?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where your Form 56s are very important, because you can only spend the assets if you have a fiduciary over the assets. Your fiduciary over the assets. So you'll have your fiduciary, which is your private bank, over your debtor, your surety. And then you'll have your fiduciary estate, which is your checking account, and your foreign grants or trust as your savings account as fiduciaries as well. And then that's how the funds flow out. So now that you have the account and the routing number by which you're going to pay for things, which then you can use a 1099A if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go into a 1099 session at some point. I know.
Okay. And then I noticed on your cover letter you said or a commercial account. So until we understand that or get that set up, can we just ask them to put it in a bank account? Maybe
that's what a commercial account is.
Yeah, maybe set a bank account up with in the EIN of our private bank, maybe.
No.
Or would you not recommend that?
I would. You could do whatever you want. I'm not recommending anything. I'm not here to give people advice or tell you guys how to live your life. If you put things in your private bank and then you go over, you're like, I want me a brand new car. Well, you want to use your private bank, your private funds to go ahead and get that vehicle. So then you could do everything in the private. If you do everything by commercial, it's not to say that you can't still purchase the vehicle and then get reimbursed for it and also put it into the private. It's just that you don't have control over your assets. If Bank of America or Wells Fargo wanted to shut their doors tomorrow, you don't got access to your funds.
Gotcha.
So it's a sense of security.
It makes sense in the long run for sure. Yeah. I just don't understand it fully yet.
It's just numbers and digits. I mean, as soon as you get confirmation that, the funds are in there, I mean, you're good. Now you can access them at any time. I understand what you're saying. You're just kind of, well, how do I access it? And can I just get a debit or a credit card? We'll get into that. That's kind of getting into the TDA side of things. There's a couple ways that you can maneuver all this. We'll get that into a later lesson.
Okay, my second question was the SF 1047 you mentioned. So for payments you've already made to the bank by mistake, I guess, because these contracts are all kind of fraud. Can you include that in the package to get
your 1047 is a voucher for you to for your receipts, for you to get refunds on. That's what the 1047 is. I went to Walmart. I bought $5,000 worth of furniture and food. I want my money back. I got my receipts. I'm going to give a voucher, because the 1047 form is a voucher, to go ahead and place the funds in so I can get reimbursed for the credit utilizing my disbursement officer. Your disbursement officer is the surety account, which would be the driver's license, your certificate of live birth, or DD 214 and whatnot. And then it goes to the treasurer. We're getting into that literally today. This will make a lot more sense.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Getting ahead. Thank you.
All right. I see a lot more hands come up. I'm going to call on 2 more people, and then we're going to move on to today's lesson. Mark.
Big Mama Michelle.
No.
Hey, can you explain what I can't get my head around? What does the company do with this packet that I send them? How do they get reimbursed or whatever? How is that done?
Very good question. That we're covering that in today's lesson.
Okay,
because that's like everybody's question. Like, what do I say when you hit me back up? And they're like, I don't know what to do. Who are you talking about? That's why you got to send it to the CFO. They'll know what to do because they're in the know. The instructions from all these banking forms that you're submitting, it's their job to know. They can say that they don't know, but they know. And we're going to get into what their process is as a CFO for what they have to do with the Treasury Department in order to get you your funds for set off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, one more. Let's go to Marilyn Jackson. Let's go to Lisa Michelle.
Hello. Thank you, Paul, for these lessons.
What?
What's a mistake?
No, go for it.
Okay. So when I listen to Patrick Devine on like YouTube and stuff, and he says that all his payments and his process that he does with the IRS, that he gets these done in like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that done? Because I mean 1099 A's and C's, I mean it takes upwards of 120 days or more. I haven't even seen any for some that I submitted last year. So I'm just wondering, does that apply to this and what we're doing?
It's 3 days it's 3 days to settle the account. Okay. That's it. I don't need somebody to call me to make me feel good that the account is settled.
Me neither.
The account needs to be settled in 3 days. Whether you're behind the 8 ball of getting that done or you're ahead of it, whatever your process is, that's not my problem. Is the account settled?
Okay. So I put it in the instructions then, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right. A Awoke, let's go to you. I'm sorry, I skipped around for a second. Things were going up and down.
How you doing? Shoot, I kind of lost my thought. Okay, we had met this week with a constitutional lawyer here in Phoenix, Arizona, who's been successful with the A for V, and he said that in corporate America, they have a way out that unless it's sent by a notary, they do not have to respond. So if we're not having success, he recommends that we have a notary send all of our paperwork out, because by law they have to respond to a notary and not us. I just wanted to share that because he said he's been doing it for over 10 years.
Got you. I don't know who the person is, but I'm here to tell you, these agencies that you're corresponding with, they might not respond to you, but they respond to the CID.
Yeah.
And the SEC.
Yeah.
So whether it's a notary or not, you bring on the hammer of the higher authorities of the IRS to do an investigation, they're going to respond to them.
Second part of that is that I also, as I understand it, because we're operating in bankruptcy, that the only person on the corporate side who's legally liable would be the indentured trustee. So that person would be the one we would have to send it to, not the CFO. Can you confirm or deny that, or have you heard of that?
Send it to the CFO.
Okay.
By Patrick's instructions, send it to the CFO.
Okay, roger that.
Yep,
thank you very
absolutely.
much.
All right, let's get into today's lesson. I know there was a lot of questions on that. I will get back to you guys on that near the end. So if you want to go ahead and lower your hands, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to get into today's lesson.
Thank you.
Okay. Can everybody see the screen?
I can see it well. Thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. This is probably one of my favorite documents by Patrick Devine. In this document, he does a really good job of summarizing the Treasury banking structure in just a couple of pages. I have read this document no less than maybe 15, 20 times to really just understand or above stand what it is that he's saying inside of this document and what the flow is inside of the Treasury system. When I read this document to you, I just want you to do this. I want you to sit back, relax, and not feel like that you're pressured, that you need to know everything that's being communicated. I want you to just listen to the words of what's been written on this page and just digest it slowly, and then later go ahead and read it again and a few more times, because it's going to take you a few rounds for you to kind of get this understanding. Okay, starting off. The original and present commercial bankers, the basis of the Treasury banking structure. Revised from the original document to include the UCC Contract Trust, your dispersing officer, and your supervision position as the executive officer, authorized representative over the UCC Contract Trust accounts by Patrick Devine. The story of how the United States keeps track of the vast sums of money that pour into our treasury based upon the people's original constitutional Article 4, Section 1, full faith and credit of republic and just banking practices. The revised structure of the Treasury Department involves a description of great commercial banking business organization that has been developing and operating from September 2nd, 1789 until the present day. As it was planned by the first Secretary of Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, still stands. The methods of operation conceived by that great commercial banking official are still utilized. They have been changed in minor particulars from time to time to meet the necessities of expanding business, but as to its fundamentals, the original plan is still used. The same system of check and balance and disinterested inspection and audit is in operation day in and day out, and has been throughout the last 240 years of federal government's history. The original credit relief and restoration process was passed on June 6, 1798 as Volume 1, Statutes at Large, 5th Congress, Section 2, Chapters 49 and 50, in which they have never been repealed. Our Constitution provides that no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, covered by Constitution, Article 4, Section 1, and the statute that passed by the 5th Congress on September 2nd of 1789, known as the Treasury Organic Act. Together with the section of the Constitution above quoted, is the basic law on which the present Treasury structure rests. Originally, this was done by the passage of individual private laws up until 1933, at which the public law HJR 192, by way of the UCC Contract Trust accounts, was passed, and private laws were no longer used to transfer the Treasury credits. It allowed for the first foreign commercial banking system into our new nation in 1791 as the United States Corporate Commercial Usury Bank per the First National Bank, a foreign English-controlled bank headed by and overseen by the United States Commercial Usury Treasury Department. The newly created Department of Treasury, this commercial usury banking system, was shut down twice, but was finally restored in 1871 as the United States Corporation Company, with its full foreign usury commercial banking powers in 1913, known as the Federal Reserve Banks. Subsection 1. Treasury officials and their duties. The Treasury Organic Act provided that there be a department of the Treasury and that the secretary should be head of that department. It stipulated that he should prepare the plans for the management of the revenue and for the support of the public credit. Prepare the estimates for the revenue and report the expenditures. Collect the revenue. Issue warrants for expenditures pursuant to the appropriations made by law. And in general, superintend the federal finances. The act also provided that for the appointment of the comptroller, an auditor, a treasurer, a register, and for an assistant to the secretary. The duties of the subordinate heads are set forth in the statute by its stipulating that the comptroller shall examine the accounts after certification by the auditor, and that he countersign a secretary's warrants for the payment of money. It provides that the treasurer receive and keep the monies of the United States and to disperse them only on the warrants drawn by the secretary, countersigned by the comptroller. It provides that the auditor shall receive and examine the public accounts and that a claimant may appeal to the comptroller when dissatisfied with the auditor's findings. The claimant may appeal to the comptroller when dissatisfied with the auditor's findings. The Register of the Treasury, meaning the Bureau of the Public Debt, is authorized and directed to receive and preserve the adjustment accounts of monies received and paid, and to report the results of the financial operations. Subsection 2, perfection and accuracy of accounting methods. Such briefly is the original Treasury structure. The system is one of checks and balance, so arrange that the acts of each of the official named are subject to the observation and the sanction of the other Treasury officials. That system still prevails, although the powers and the duties of the auditing officials, also known as the IRS, have been somewhat changed. Excuse me. The rule that requires every dollar of federal revenue to be paid out to the treasurer is still in force. Likewise, the rule that no funds can be paid out except upon the secretary's warrant countersigned by the comptroller is still the law and is still followed. It was originally required and still is the rule that exact records be kept of the source from which every dollar is derived and of what becomes of each dollar. Commentary notes by Patrick Devine. Every sum paid out, no matter how small, must be supported by a written voucher. Presently is done by GSA Government Service Administration banking forms, the SF-30, the SF-1047, 1414, 1416, and the SF-1418. Therefore, that carries the signature of the individual to whom it is paid by way of the UCC Contract Trust accounts. The document that disclosed to whom and why each federal dollar is paid are all carefully preserved in the sole custody of the accounting officers, also known as the Secret Service over the Enterprise Financial Management System. And those officers have nothing to do with the receipts and payments of the government money. They are entirely disinterested, and a payment made 40 years ago can be explained exactly so that one may see just why it was paid and to whom the payment was made. It is with confidence that it may be asserted by every Treasury official who knows Treasury operations that no bank in the world has ever kept more exact records than the Federal Treasury, nor was any great bank ever operated in which greater pains have been taken to accomplish an exact balance of its accounts, or a more complete proof of the accuracy of its records. The system of checks and proof is so designed that once funds are delivered to the Treasury and a receipt therefore taken by the depositor, it is practically an impossibility for the funds to pass unaccounted for. Either they will be still in the Treasury, or the Treasury will hold a voucher that will account for their disposition. And if they are still in the Treasury, the official charged with their custody will be periodically and unexpectedly required to submit them to inspection and count by experienced, painstaking, and competent auditors who will ascertain that every dollar is either present or accounted for. The rule that funds may be paid out by the treasurer only on a warrant that has been signed by the secretary was followed literally until about 20 years ago. The secretary himself, or one of the 4 assistant secretaries acting for him, actually signed each warrant. The task became so voluminous and so burdensome that a subordinate was authorized to sign for the secretary. Subordinate, all caps. Subsection 3, warrants for payment of money. The warrants for the payment of federal funds are of 2 classes: Visa settlement warrants and accountable warrants. The former settlement warrants are direct payments in settlement of sums due individuals on claims that have been settled by the federal accounting officers, also known as the IRS. When a claim has been reviewed and the sum due has been ascertained, the accounting officers submit to the Secretary of the Treasury a statement that discloses the sum due. The Secretary's warrant is executed, countersigned by the comptroller, and is paid by check drawn by the treasurer in favor of the claimant. The accountable warrant is the means employed to place federal funds to the credit by way of the UCC Contract Trust accounts of a dispersing officer, which is your fictional commercial numbered servant. That class of warrant is the basis for setting up a credit in the Treasury in favor of the officer concerned, against which that officer may draw checks on the Treasury in payments of vouchers. When the warrant is issued, the officer is charged on the books of the accounting office with the amount credited to him, and the charge will stand against the officer until he is either submits vouchers, which is the SF-30 and the SF-1047 forms, that the accounting officers find represent lawful payments or return the funds to the Treasury. Each such dispersing officer is required to state his account with the Treasury and transmit it regularly, in most cases each month. As thus, he is required to disclose the status of the federal funds entrusted to him by way of the UCC Contract Trust accounts. When funds are thus credited to dispersing officers, once again, a fictional officer, your servant per your certificate of live birth, Social Security account, etc., in any department of the public service who is charged with the duty of paying out public money. He is personally responsible for them. He may draw a check in his own favor and cash it, if necessary, to make payroll settlements, but such cash as he has in his own possession, he must safekeep. The integrity of the officer is guaranteed by the government. Requirement that the officer provide a surety bond before the funds are advanced to him. Presently, the surety bond is in the form of a UCC Contract Trust account with an attached surety payment bond and a surety performance bond, also known as a combined fidelity surety bond. The rules and the laws relating to the payment of federal funds are very exacting and require the most scrupulous care on the part of every dispersing officer. He must keep acquainted with all payments, regulations, or he will find himself obligated or obliged either to recover an unauthorized payment or make it good to the Treasury from his personal funds. Although the rules relating to payments are very strict, and it is in fact that is a dispersing officer makes a payment in good faith, and the government has been properly a beneficiary, it is almost a certainty that the officer will eventually be accorded credit for the payment. The government never intends an injustice, but if a dispersing officer should, through an overpayment in cash, find his account short, there would be no escaping responsibility for the missing funds. He would have to restore them, for the accounting officers would not and could not excuse a shortage. No power except Congress can do that. Subsection 3, supervision of appropriations. Each of the executive departments and independent federal offices have supervision over the expenditure of the appropriation made by Congress for its support. This is where you, as the living, come into play. As we, the people, executive officers, you are the authorized representative over the UCC Contract Trust account. As funds are required by any one of these establishments, the chief authorized representative therefore executes a requisition on the Treasury in favor of the dispersing officer, who is to pay out the funds. The requisition is the certificate of live birth, Social Security account, driver's license, certificate of title, etc. Is the basis for the Treasury placing the funds to the officer's credit. As the warrant credits to the dispersing officer concerned, the latter may then draw his checks on the treasurer up into the full amount so credited. The treasurer cashes the checks on presentment, but has no responsibility for the proprietary of the officer's payments. The treasurer's concern is that the check is genuine and that the officer's balance is sufficient. The dispersing officer's check is the treasurer's receipt for the funds he pays out and is the basis on which the accounting officer allow the treasurer clearance in his general account. Subsection 4, the treasurer's account. The treasurer's account to the auditing authorities is the same sort of statement that each dispersing officer submits. In stating his account to the auditor, the treasurer is required to acknowledge each sum from which he has receipted and formally to demonstrate, by submitting written evidence of each payment, that the sums paid plus the balance in his possession equal precise amount for which he is accountable. The account that the treasurer submits is a summary of the various books of account that are kept in his office and that have been fully proved to be in balance before the statement to the auditor is prepared. Although the statement discloses the aggregates of the vast sums collected and paid by the government during the period to which the account relates, it is exactly correct as it is related to a single business transaction. The treasurer's account to the auditor is so stated that each transaction is made clear enough to be fully understood. Rarely is it necessary for the accounting officer to make an inquiry as to the meaning of a particular item of receipt or payment. The document itself carries a complete story of what the transaction was. If it is the admission of a deposit, the copy of the receipt tells the story. If it relates to a payment, the voucher, the SF 1047, shows who was paid, when, how, and why. Subsection 5, the accounting plan summarized. Assurance that all monies paid into the Treasury are completely accounted for and fully proved to have been paid out for legitimate government purposes only is, of course, the right of those who are paying the taxes, and preceding descriptions have been undertaken with a view to such a demonstration. One who wishes to comprehend the general accounting plan should bear in mind that each government depository bank is required to submit a daily statement of its federal receipts. Also means deposits into the UCC Contract Trust surety payment bonds and payments which are withdrawals from the UCC Contract Trust surety performance bonds, as well as the balance of the federal funds it has on hand. From those accounts and the accompanying items supporting them, the banks are charged and credited on the books of the Treasurer's Division of General Accounts. The checks that support the bank's claim for credit are charged to the UCC Contract Trust account. The surety performance bond of the government officer who drew the checks and are credited to the bank that paid them and sent them to the Treasury. The two must equal each other. Likewise, the currency that the bank claims credit for sending to the Treasury must be the same amount that the money counters at the Treasury to find in the package. If the treasurer's credits the remitting bank, the money redemption official who accepts it is charged with and must account for that same amount. That, in simple terms, is the way it is known that the funds are all accounted for. The system of verification and proof exists throughout the treasurer's money, bond, coupon, and check transactions. Once money is receipted for, the receipt raises a charge, and the trail of it cannot be obliterated. Nothing but a payment voucher, an SF 1047, that will pass the disinterested officials of the General Accounting Office can offset the charge. Final section. The insurrection of the Foreign Commercial Treasury Duns Court operating for profits. These Dun commercial administrative courts are an imposture court operating for unjust profits in the opposition to the constitutional republic courts, which were set up to ensure just banking settlements. Commentary notes by Patrick Devine. The above does not address the initial value of deposit setup Treasury credits transferred into the independent Treasury UCC Contract Trust accounts, as your individual fictional dispersing officers' credit accounts, as either being a postal or Social Security account that are held as UCC Contract Trust funds and or special UCC contract funds. These were done through the corporate United States Department of the Treasury, with you being the owner, authorizing constitutional republic executive officer over your fictional dispersing officer's accounts. You need a registered mail, non-UCC 1, privately filed to claim your lawful ownership of these accounts, as you were the original constitutional bailor by a signature letter of credit, authorizing and making the bailment to become the secured or assured party. And per the commercial UCC Contract Trust, the bailment was placed on credit deposit with your fictional dispersing officer as the debtor or surety to you to make all payments in charge settlements. This was to be done by using the accounting forms SF30, SF1047 vouchers, the 1414, 1416, and the SF1418. The government can own nothing, for it all belongs to we the people. They only have usage of it upon our consent, and they are required by law to return it when demanded by the lawful owners. Then the following is your taking control procedure. A lot of this is what we've went over in the first two classes. You will want your registered mail, private non-UCC of ownership of your foreign contract trusts. Secondly, you want to do registered mail of transfer of deeds, which we will also get into, of your foreign UCC contract trusts with their supporting ownership general accounting forms, which is the SF30, which the purpose of the SF30 is to be used by the owner to control the contract. The purpose of the SF1414 is the owner's control over the contract surety. The purpose of the SF1416 is the Republic Credit Asset Reservoir Depository as the collateral foundation for the performance bond. And the purpose of the 1418 is that was to be used to pay all the bills and taxes. You can demand the liquidation of your dispersing officer's accounts by submitting liquidation checks, which is the SF30s, to the treasurer. And then it's your non-UCC choice of law is to be protected by the United States People Republic Just Banking Law jurisdiction. And all of these are what is inside of your optional filer reference data. Okay. That was a lot said. We're going to take a moment to digest that.
Amazing.
Was that amazing? I know. I don't like when I see something that I know I can't articulate as well as the man himself. I'm going to do my best to just read it. But what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to listen to that recording of mine and read it in front of you a couple times. And you need to understand your dispersing officer and what your checks are and your 1047. And when you ask the question, I think it was Mark earlier or Patrick, where does all this stuff go and who's communicating with who? It is going from the disbursement officer up until the treasurer and the auditor. Excuse me, let me reopen that.
Yeah, bruh.
Yeah. Okay, so this is your dispersing officer is your, just to solidify this, your dispersing officer is your fictional commercial numbered servant, okay? And once again, the fictional officer is your certificate of live birth, your social security account, you know, the one that has all the money attached to it. You then have it's all then being covered by the surety bond. Okay, the surety bond is what covers the certificate of live birth, social security account, and whatnot. And within that surety bond is the payment and the performance bond. That's why we need our SF standard forms to give the instruction or the check to the, where was that person's name? Treasurer, the auditor. Okay. So you as the dispersing officer give it to the auditing authorities who then bring it to the treasurer, and the treasurer is the holder of all of our money and assets. Okay. I want you to imagine the treasurer clerk, and he's got a bucket full, or he has all the money behind him in the bank. Okay. And you're going over and you're just like, hey, I want to grab some money out of this huge bank account. And the treasurer says, well, I need to keep an account. I need to make sure that the accounts are balanced inside of this bank. I can't just pull money out, even though that you think that you have your right to your money, which you do. I need to do my accounting at the end of each month or each year. So how do you take the money outside of the bank? Well, what you need to do is you need to replace it with a voucher that shows a money replacement with all the details. The details are the who, when, how, and why from the voucher. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the voucher itself. So then we can kind of address the who, how, when, and why.
Gotta get that.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. So here's the voucher that Patrick is talking about, okay? Or your receipt, public voucher for refunds or for your receipt, okay? So it's going to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. This is who he chose. And then you put their location, and then you put the UCC Contract Trust Payment Surety Bond that he's referencing. Remember, all of these accounts are covered by a surety bond. Then he put his name and the surety bond in which it's being held. He's referencing his SS Estate Contract Trust, which is held at the FDIC. That's why he has this little notation underneath. I also want you to note how old this form is. This form, 1047 form, hasn't changed since 1973. It's still the same form that the treasurer uses today. Deposit received from the above named depositor on the date of which the deposit is being made. And then for the type of bond that you're pulling it against. For this, it's the payment bond, credit release when demanded by the federal government, SSS estate number, which is his estate EIN. That's why he put it up here as estate EIN. Owner. Who's the owner of your estate EIN? It's you, right? And who's the owner over the debtor? It's you, the secured party, through your non-UCC. Okay? Now, this is the amount of what Patrick Devine's Ford Fusion was. It was $25,000.55. And he paid for this through his Treasury Direct account when he had funds inside of there. And he has a debit card for his TDA account. So he walked inside of the Ford dealership and he just swiped the card and the payment went through. So now he utilized his current credits or assets in his TDA. So now he's asking for a refund of what he paid out. I am the age federal government estate owner operator under Patrick Devine SS Estate per the commercial bank routing EIN number, which is under the Federal Reserve FDIC UCC surety bondage and leasing contract with the contractor known as the Federal Depository Insurance Corporation. The FDIC contractor is holding my federal government estate federal entitlement assets within the Federal Reserve banks under 2 FDIC commercially insured bonds, which is a $250,000 or higher interest taxable usury performance bond. This is, remember, this is the one that's on the open market. And a low interest non-taxable labor leasing payment bond. Okay. This federal government deposit receipt claim is based upon the UCC commercial banking bonded surety laws of settlements. When demanded from the FDIC commercial surety bond by the federal government SS estate owner. Upon this delivery, you now have 3 commercial banking days to process my credit chargeback order as a settlement and delivery obligation from the payment bond by the FDIC contractor. Okay. Now, how do I know that this is used for a Ford Fusion? Okay. Well, I've listened to a lot of recordings of Patrick, so I do know that, and he commented. So what he did is he's contracting to, or he's submitting this payment voucher along with an SF-30 form to get refunded for his $25,000 car, which he endorsed the payment receipt for. Okay. So he had his endorsement. So he had the invoice for the vehicle that was paid. You could do the same thing with Walmart receipts or USPS or whatever. And he put down the amount on the endorsement to go along with this public voucher for refunds. And then he submitted this over to the FDIC. Now, the FDIC has different territories. If you want to find those territories, you can find them in the Patrick Devine files. FDIC regional offices. Here it is. Okay, so here's all the regional offices. Now, Patrick was in Iowa, so he sent his to Kansas City at this address. If you're in the West Coast, kind of like mine, I would go to San Francisco, because that's where they have the Washington territory. And then he's referencing the payment and the performance bond under the surety bond for his estate inside of there. And that's who he sent it to. And then I'm sure he had a cover letter and so much like that. So that's kind of the breakdown of how those payment vouchers work. They go from, you're referencing the disbursement officer, you got your SF-30, your 1047 voucher, you send it into whatever entity you're trying to get the payment from, and then they then are going to go to the treasurer and then take the money or the credits out that's covering your surety and exchange those credits for the voucher, because it says the who, the when, and the why, and all of that. And the SF-30 gives the instructions for why or additionally for why those payments need to be released as well. Then you also have a receipt or an invoice that to show that, hey, credits have already been paid by this person who is bonded, which was Patrick when he paid for his Ford Fusion. And so now we got to reimburse him for those credits. Okay. That's how the accounting is all done. That's why you can't get around taking money without replacing it. It is such a well-oiled machine with their accounting that, yeah, they have to balance their books at the end of each month or each year. That was a lot of information. I know you're digesting it. Again, you'll have to listen to that a couple of times to kind of get it. There's so many details in there. And I still want to go into establishing a UCC contract trust today. Again, I'm going to try to beat this into you guys as much as I possibly can so you get that understanding of the bigger picture. But that is one of my favorite documents written by Patrick that really summarizes the system that we're in today. I'm going to go ahead and take questions now just about this document and for clarification. Okay, let's go to Andre Villages. No. Oh, you know what I'm also going to do? I noticed that you guys write a lot of chats and comments. So if you have any questions, write it inside the chat box and then I will read out loud some of the questions that I think would be cool to answer. Let's go to Lisa.
Hold up. I'm here.
Hold up. Hold up.
Now,
go for
my
it.
question was about the foreign trust transfer. I did mine today, and she's made me the trustee.
Okay, do you have
On the
any
phone.
questions pertaining to the document that I just went over?
No,
Okay,
not right now.
no problem. Daryl, let's go to you. Only
All right.
questions pertaining to the document.
You hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. So just to clarify, I saw it mentioned routing numbers when referring to the EIN numbers.
Yes, they're known as routing numbers. Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that they're not account numbers, they're routing numbers.
correct. The account
Okay.
number would be your individual banker's EIN.
Got you. All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep, no problem. B-Boy, let's go to you.
Oh, I forgot my question, but keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Un Lee.
So if I have a Costco receipt, then I attach everything in a 1047 with the SF30,
Mhm.
and then all the payment bonds and all those send it to them, to the Costco.
No, you don't even send it to, well, you send it right over to the FDIC.
Oh, FDIC. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, in this relation, you can send it to the FDIC. You can do other government state entities as well. And also you got to look at where you're getting this. Now, so the FDIC, I would send it there, but let's say if you got a mortgage and you paid, already 200,000 for your mortgage, you're going to want to go through the bank that you're contracted with. Okay? If you got all of these past payments that you made at the post office, you might want to go to the State Department. You kind of you go around because they're all going to communicate to the same treasurer.
So let's say if I have mortgage that I paid to the JP Morgan Chase initially, and then they sold it to the servicer, and then now I'm in let's say I had to go through the foreclosure, and then that because of the foreclosure I kind of lost, so I'm in a bankruptcy court right now. So what should I send my document to the servicer they claim to be the creditor now it's a Shell Point? Should I send it to the Shell Point CFO?
The listing, do you have your individual banker's EIN?
Yes.
You have your FGT?
Yes.
You have your state EIN?
Yes. But
Okay.
my husband's name is the main person. I'm the secondary.
Whoever's dealing, this is a very important thing for people who are trying to do stuff for other people. You only take care of what you are contracted under. Okay. You can't do something for somebody else. If you're the one contracted with the utility company or whatever, it is that individual that has the contract that can only do the contract modification. Okay.
I'm the co-borrower of the mortgage.
Okay.
But mainly my husband's name is in the top right now.
Do you have your non-UCC?
I just did mine non-UCC, so I gotta do my husband that non-UCC to go through all the mortgage then.
Do you have your identification done?
I just got it yesterday, so I'm just gonna process it.
Do that next, and then get your SF30, 1414, 1416, 1418 forms in order. Get some practice with that, and then deal with it from there. A lot of this stuff, we don't have to overthink it. Okay, that's why I didn't start with the Treasury banking, the basis for the Treasury banking system, because now that's getting into return checks and, how the system works and stuff like that, which is good for us to know now that we're up to this point. But stick with the simplicity. Just make sure all your documentation is in order, and then we'll go from there. All right, I'm going to go on to the next person. Laura.
Okay, so I paid off my truck.
Okay.
So I send all the 1014s to the bank, and then I submit the 1047 with the SF30 to the FDIC, correct? Or do I, because it's paid off, do I have to send anything to the bank, or just send it to the FDIC?
Depends if did you get a loan from the bank?
Yes, but it's already paid off.
Okay, so you could go back to that bank.
Okay.
And then do the process through them, or you could go straight to the FDIC, or you could go to the Secretary of State, because all of them have to go to the same source, because the vehicle was registered in your state, right?
Correct.
Okay, so now you got the state, now you got the FDIC, now you got your bank. You have plenty of people to go send multiple out, so you gets it done faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And then put inside of your cover letter, hey, I already CC'd these other two agencies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then they know there's no hey, is she trying to double dip here? Like, what's she trying to do?
Okay.
Yeah. We'll think about this. All right. I see some questions in here. Let me see if there's any. Yes, I'll be posting documents after class. No, the voucher cannot be used for, could the voucher be used for a purchase order instead of a receipt? It's not used for purchases. Okay. Do we still put a 1 cent stamp top and bottom on the copy coupon for the duty tax? No, you did. I mean, some of you guys are doing overkill. Like, a lot of the things that take care of your problems is just this right here, your seal, your little thumbprint thing. So no, I mean, when you're mailing things, especially get the green card. Always get the green card back. But when you're private registering mail, that's the only time I personally really even worry about doing anything. And I didn't even put a 1 cent stamp. You could. But I didn't even put a 1 cent stamp on my public identification. But I did do it for my non-UCC as instructed. But yeah. All right. That's that. Okay, Lisa, Michelle. Yes. All of them could be just red thumb stamp. Okay, Dr. Mary Dressler.
Hi, I was blank, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, Lisa.
I was sitting here talking to myself, I apologize. So the forms we just went over, can we use the IRS as a creditor? I did a process last year and I have literally millions sitting on my transcript, but they have a freeze on the refund.
That's beyond my purview because I don't have enough information.
Got it.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But the IRS can be a creditor in certain
What is that?
But the IRS can be a creditor in certain circumstances.
Well, they could be. I mean, there's multiple secured parties that could do a lien. Absolutely, the IRS could be a secured party. I mean, if you don't pay your taxes or your taxes, they can send people. The IRS can put a lien on you and take your stuff and do a foreclosure and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
A bank can do that. An HOA can do that. That's why your non-UCC is so important. That's like your first line of defense.
Okay.
Thanks. And then final person, and then we'll go on to the next session. Dr. Mary, and it's gone.
Yes, hi.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. I just figured out how to get on the speaker. Sorry.
No problem.
You're doing an amazing job, Paul Michael. Thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is there a way we can go over page 2 of the SF30?
Where the signature is?
No, there was some accounting classification.
Oh, actually, it's really just one page. Yeah.
Well, it has a back page, the SF30,
Yeah, let me pull it up one more time.
and it wants like the total contract price, accounting classification, and a few more things.
Oh, then the instructions.
Yeah, and they
That's
want
all
you
they are.
to-
They're instructions. You don't fill anything out in there.
Okay.
Yep. It's just the front page.
Oh, okay. Super.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, let's go over now our next stuff. Let me pull up another exciting. Oh, this is exciting. I don't mean to make things dry. I know a lot of this information is kind of like, oh, it's a lot to take in. I'm always like, oh man, how do I spice it up a little bit? But
I know, Big Mama Michelle.
sometimes it doesn't work that way. All right, we're gonna go over the establishing a UCC contract trust document. Okay. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, Crystal.
Okay. So establishing a UCC contract trust. Now, if y'all have heard about the secured party process and send these documents over and I'm going to become a secured party and put $100 million bond and all of that. This is what this covers. This is Patrick's description of establishing a UCC contract trust, which for the most part, when I look at other gurus, processes, and all that, it's almost exactly the same to this. But what the benefit is that he describes what's going on in the system, in the players for what's happening when you're establishing your UCC contract trust. And once you figure out how to establish it and do eminent domain, then when you guys go for discharge, you're not going to have any issues. It's going to go through like butter. And it's a much easier process too. So let me go ahead and start with the Establishing UCC Contract Trust by Patrick Devine. The IRS use one or both of two types of accounts in processing negotiable debt instruments by way of the domestic financial institutions Treasury Tax and Loan Account, TTNL. Also sometimes referred as the TTNL account, which is administered under the Technical Support Division, TSD, of the IRS through Chief of Special Procedure Handling at the Federal Reserve Regional Office, or through the UCC Contract Trust account, which is processed through the TTNL account and administered by the IRS Analysis and Control Division, also under the Technical Support Division of the IRS. The process begins when a secured party presents a negotiable debt instrument to the Secretary of the Treasury with the copy of same stamped accepted for value, a banker's acceptance of charging instrument, present for discharge of a debt, discharge of negotiable debt instrument. This copy of the negotiable debt instrument, stamped or diagonally endorsed by hand, is a banker's acceptance of debt and becomes ratification of commencement of bona fide claim of action by the joinder to the submission or subrogation of the real party in interest by claimants, persons in commerce. And such ratification, joinder, substitution, or subrogation shall have the same effect as it is the action has been commenced in the name of the real proper party in interest that cannot ever commerce. That can never commerce. All UCC and bill of exchange documents are routed to the IRS room 1120 on 1111 Constitution Ave, Northwest Washington, D.C. 20224 under the administration of Felix Zeck. It's a different person now. This is the analysis and control division of the IRS. These documents are scrutinized by the Secret Service, the FBI, and Justice Department. The Analysis and Control Division has stated that these are designed as UCC Contract Trusts. The UCC Contract Trusts are distinct and separate from direct Treasury accounts, which are used exclusively for trading in Treasury bonds that are administered by the Bureau of Public Debt. Many of the UCC and bill of exchange documents received at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest are misdirected to the Bureau of Public Debt. One major error is that many filers reference a Treasury Direct or Direct Treasury account in their documents. At the Analysis and Control Division of the IRS building in the District of Columbia, UCC Contract Trusts are processed and then routed to one of two IRS centers if it is to be used for discharge. For the east of the Mississippi, they are routed to Cincinnati, Ohio. For the west of the river, they are sent to Fresno, California. Notices discharging IRS claims east of the Mississippi are also to be sent to Joseph Cohen, CSB SPF of the IRS in District Columbia, or the west of the river, they are to be sent to Gary Steer, WRM SPF in Seattle, Washington. They are different representatives at this point in time. Current reports indicate the UCC files and paperwork are scrutinized by the Secret Service, the Justice Department, FBI, routed to the CID, then to the IRS Technical Support Division, TSD, in the state from where the secured party initiated the discharge. Copies of these documents are also forwarded to the Department of Justice Tax Division in DC. Here are some important details regarding the administration and function of the Technical Support Division. Almost every financial institution connected with the Federal Reserve System has in its register or has contracted access to the IRS account, known as the Treasury Tax and Loan Account, TT&L. The TT&L account in each financial institution is administered from the Technical Support Division office located in most state offices of the IRS. As a result of IRS internal reorganization, the Technical Support Manager, TSM, in each state divisional office of the IRS has been assigned the authority formally assigned to the District Director. When a notice of levy lien is presented to any financial institution by the IRS, usually by fax, the financial institution usually responds routinely by making a simple entry in their computer, transferring the asset from the depositor's account to the IRS TT&L account. The asset does not physically leave their office. A few financial institutions do not have the TT&L accounts. They place a 21-day hold on the funds and then forward the amount demanded directly to the IRS. Discharging claims in the public sector, banking claims, and with the IRS through the UCC Contract Trust can be accomplished by the secured party with presentment of bonded registered bill of exchange directly to the Secretary of the Treasury. When an asset claim is made by the IRS or a federal or state taxing agency, the claim can be stamped accepted for value by the secured party and sent via certified or registered mail to the Secretary of the Treasury for discharge. See paragraphs below beginning with the number. These transactions all become bonded when they are processed through the Federal Reserve System and or the Department of Treasury. This action is documented and authorized through Public Policy HJR 192, Title 4, Section 401 of the Federal Reserve Act, the Supreme Court's Confirmation and Guarantee Trust of New York versus Henwood. Those who properly file in their birth state or UCC region establish the distinct and separate identity of the secured party apart from the debtor strawman. Presenting that filing along with the instruction order, chargeback, the IRS 1040 ES form, and the accepted for value stamped birth certificate notifies the Secretary of Treasury that the secured party is now established with a prior superior claim on all assets and liabilities of the debtor. The liabilities can then be presented to the Secretary of Treasury for processing and discharge through the UCC Contract Trust. A written contracted acknowledged claim received by the debtor's strawman can be accepted for value by the secured party and discharged when properly presented through the Secretary of Treasury to the UCC Contract Trust on file with the Analysis and Control Division of the IRS. The number, which becomes the UCC Contract Trust and TT&L account, from a certified mail green card, which is known as Form 3811, showing the dates of acknowledgement, provides the secured party and all other bankers parties with evidence that the Secretary of the Treasury has received the documents. If there is no written dishonor or return after 15 calendar days from the certified mail receipt date, then the transaction is acknowledged as not dishonored and now stands as pre-approved. These documents become the notification forms of credit for banks. If it is during this 15-day period that the UCC Contract Trust account of the secured party is credited, and its equity is pre-approved for acceptance through the TT&L account. This credit is in accord with the mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act at 5 USC 706. 15 calendar days from the date stamped on the green card returned from the Secretary of the Treasury, the secured party or the claimant is authorized to tender copies of the following documents to processing bank. First, a copy of the returned certified mail receipt, a copy of the negotiable debt instrument, a stamped copy of the negotiable debt instrument, and in certain cases, a silver surety bond to be posted at the processing bank in accordance with CFR 31 at Part 203 to a custodial deposit account. Upon receipt of these documents, the bank is legally authorized to place a credit on its TT&L with the amount of the negotiable debt instrument, followed immediately by a debit to its TT&L account by equal amount shown on the negotiable debt instrument. These credit debit transactions are initially unfounded at this point. However, they pave the way for the flow of equity from the secured party's UCC Contract Trust account through the TT&L account to the bank. 3 previously prepared identical packages of documents consisting of copies of a copy of the returned certified mail receipt, the credit debit transactions, the stamped negotiable debt instruments, copy of the negotiable debt instrument, and the silver surety bond, where applicable, to the 3 parties of interest, which number 1 is the Secretary of Treasury, number 2 is the IRS Chief of Special Handling Procedures, and number 3, the Chief of Special Procedure Handling at the Office of Regional Administrator of the TT&L account in the bank's registry, and then mailed out by the processing bank. The bank transmits each package in a way that provides legal, dated proof of receipt dates for each of the 3 document transmissions. On occasion, a 4th copy may be required to be sent to the Secretary of Transportation through the Maritime Ministries Administration. 15 days after the last receipt comes in, credit from the UCC Contract Trust account, already authorized by the Secretary and the Technical Support Division, funds flow through the TT&L to the bank, to the bank's holding account. The bank will receive no written notice of credit. If there is no objection, rejection, or dishonor from any party at interest within 15 days after last receipt, then the credit that is already on the bank's ledger is authorized as approved and irreversibly funded. This is in accordance with and mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act at 5 U.S.C. 706 Federal Banking Regulations Supreme Court decision in Hallenbeck versus Letmer, and the Erie and Clearfield doctrine by congressional and presidential approval. With the expiration of the hold period, the bank's equity is cleared and validated by electronic extraction from the secured party's UCC Contract Trust account. The bank must then promptly transfer this equity to the account of the claimant or that of the secured party for the intended purpose to discharge the claim or place into an investment account. The basis for this process is an obligation that the United States has bound itself to and provided statutory law supporting the Supreme Court decision, Guaranteed Trust Co. of New York versus Henwood. Proved that all the above is in effect. Those in responsible positions at banks cannot lawfully deny, dishonor, or delay the processing of such valid negotiable debt instruments that are properly submitted for legitimate purpose. Such negotiable debt instruments constitute valid legal tender. Observe that the process operates entirely under the purview of the Secretary of the Treasury and the Technical Support Division of the IRS. Neither the Bureau of Public Debt nor the United States Treasury itself is involved in any way, nor at any stage of this process. Also, bank alert notices referring to the Bureau of Public Debt of the United States Treasury do not apply to the UCC Contract Trust negotiable debt instrument. Therefore, banks cannot lawfully discriminate and deny the processing service of valid negotiable debt instruments to their depositors on the basis that they are not interested, not set up for it, unfamiliar with processing of negotiable debt instruments, or the opinion that all negotiable debt instruments are the same. You see, they are licensed and bonded to do the job they are contracted to do. All is under contract law. Since 1933, the United States has accepted these non-cash accrual exchanges as a matter of law and equity. HJR 192, other public policy directives, and the public court decisions, Guaranteed Trust Co. of New York versus Henwood, show these negotiable debt instruments as public policy remedy for the removal of gold and silver coinage. Properly tendered negotiable debt instruments place subordinate public officials, like the Secretary of the Treasury, in a position where they must then legally acknowledge and accept the Secretary's authority and the validity of these instruments. Those in responsible positions at licensed financial institutions cannot lawfully deny, dishonor, or delay the processing of such valid negotiable debt instruments. Banks are private corporations, but they are also quasi-public, as evidenced by their involvement with FDIC, TT&L, tax accounts, government CDs, and operate under the authority of federal banking regulations. Therefore, banks cannot lawfully discriminate and deny the processing service of negotiable debt instruments. A caveat by Patrick Devine. Be informed, any actor, agent, or fiduciary who delays, restricts, or otherwise prohibits the movement of any negotiable debt instrument in its lawful progression, destined to or for the hidden holder in due course, secured party, or claimant, must show cause why a contempt charge should not issue against him or her, or his or her or their true character, or suffer the consequences of said action or lack of action. It is noted that said actors, agents, and fiduciaries are subject to the self-executing regulations of the 3rd and 4th sections of the 14th Amendment, whereby their offices are vacated and their salaries and retirement benefits are extinguished when they do not perform the duties and obligations of said offices. Established in 1933 under HJR 192 and exercised by actors, agents, and fiduciaries of every commercial transaction by commercial banking institutions since that date, with the abrogation of the gold clause. Damages equal to double the amount of negotiable debt instrument under civil action or triple the amount of the negotiable debt instrument under admiralty jurisdiction. The contempt charges would be based upon USC Title 15, Section 1 and 2. That was also a lot of reading. Okay. All right. How many of you want just summarize that on a single page? Paul Michael, that was great and educational. I caught some things, but man, I was doing most. Hey, thank you all for the claps. Appreciate it. Let me break that down. Patrick broke it down so we can do a little imagery here, okay? We're going to go over a little bit of eminent domain, a little bit better, okay? Okay, let's see. I have a lot of files. Article 4, eminent domain. Okay, so we read in the basis of the Treasury document, okay? Now, y'all are kind of wondering, like, okay, who do I'm a secured party. I did all this. I got the green card back. I waited 15 days, yada, yada, yada. How do who do what do huh? Well, this is the answer to that. Your Article 4 public eminent domain document number 1. There's only one. I looked for a second one. There's only one. For nonprofit tariff tax security setoffs. Notices of discharging IRS tariff tax claims. Addressed to the IRS Technical Analysis and Control Support Division under the care of the IRS UCC Contract Trust Department, room 1120 on 1111 Constitutional Avenue, Washington, D.C. Okay, we read this just in the other document. For further processing by the IRS, it depends on whether you're in the east or into the west. East of the Mississippi are also to be sent to, this is a different person, you have to look up what their name is, CSBS-SPF of the IRS in District of Columbia. And then west of the river, they are to be sent to whoever the new person is in Seattle, Washington. This is where they're processed. This is where they're sent. So this is where it's sent. This is then where it's processed, okay? Discharging claims. I got claims of discharge. In the public sector, the bank claims, and with the IRS through the UCC Contract Trust, can be accomplished by the secured party with presentment of bonded registered bill of exchange directly to the Secretary of Treasury. If you establish your UCC Contract Trust and you have bonded registered bill of exchanges, which is a part of that process, this is where then you would send to the Secretary of the Treasury for discharge. When an assessment or tax claim per the 1913 tariff tax on foreign monetary for profits is made by the IRS or federal or state taxing agency, the claim can be stamped accepted for value. We're going to look at what accepted for value stamp looks like here in just a moment. By the secured party as an Article 4 nonprofit banker creditor. This is the Godhead once again. It's your individual banker's EIN, it's your foreign grantor trust, and it's your state EIN, all under one control. When you do your UCC, establish your UCC Contract Trust account, a part of your submission is your SF forms, or not your SF forms, but your Form 56s for the fiduciary relationship. So then, as the secured party over that account using your individual banker's EIN as an Article 4 nonprofit banker creditor, you can then send via certified or registered mail to the Secretary of Treasury for discharge. Okay, a lot of people have tried to just do this process where they're like, okay, I got a bill. I read HJR 192. Why did I just send it to the IRS now and just have them discharge? The reason why is because you're presenting yourself incorrectly. When you present yourself and they're asking who you are, your only response right now is that I'm a number. I'm this SSN number, or I'm this number on the certificate of live birth and whatnot. And you're coming in as a foreign entity, which is good to protect your assets from other foreign invaders, but you as yourself are coming in as foreign. So by you becoming the secured party over your UCC Contract Trust surety, now you're coming in the right capacity. You'll be like, hey, I'm in control of this surety account as a nonprofit banker creditor under Article 4. I have full access and control to access this account at any time. Okay? Now, continuing on, and that's why you can send to the Secretary of Treasury for discharge, because now you got access to the account. See the paragraph below, beginning the number. These transactions all become bonded when they are processed through the Federal Reserve System and or the Department of Treasury. This action is documented and authorized through Public Policy HJR 192, Title 4, Section 401 of the Federal Reserve Act, the Supreme Court's confirmation of guaranteed trust in New York versus Henwood, and Public Law 73-10. Such actions is further confirmed in USC Title 12 and Title 28, I believe that is, Section 1641, 3002, and the Foreign Sovereignty Immunity Act. Okay, the number. Okay, we're getting into what would I do? What would I do after I do all this? The number, which becomes the UCC Contract Trust and TTNL account number from the certified mail green card showing the date of acknowledgement, provides the secured party. when you do your secured party process correct and you get that green card back, which, by the way, congratulations to Mark in the group. He just got his back today. And all other banker parties with evidence that the Secretary of the Treasury has received the documents. If there is no written dishonor or return after 15 calendar days from the certified mail receipt date, then the transaction is acknowledged and not dishonored and now stands as pre-approved. These documents become notification forms of credit for the bank. It is during this 15-day period that the UCC Contract Trust account of the secured party is credited and its equity is pre-approved for acceptance through the TT&L account. This credit step is in accord with the mandated by the Administrative Procedures Act at 5 USC 706. And here's the security forms that you should use, okay? So what if you're not seeing a pattern already, your SF30, modification of contract. This is your Article 4 control of the security. Your 1414, this is the consent of the surety. You are the master of your surety. The 1415, we haven't gone into that very much, but this is the consent of the surety and increase of the of penalty. This is a combination form that you would use with others. The 1416 is the payment bond for your labor compensation, and the performance bond, the for-profit set-offs. Again, it's for your bills, it's for your invoices, whatever it is that you have, okay? Now, you would take these documents and you would do what? A similar thing that we talked about at the beginning of this meeting. You would take your, the certified mail green card. Remember, there was like 2 or 3 things that you got to have. Starting to lose it a little bit. But one of this is a copy of your certified mail green card to go along with all of these forms for when you're doing discharge. And then the final thing is you're going to do a accepted for value. So kind of like, remember earlier when I was talking about you're going to acknowledge and you're going to endorse, like on your bills? It's the same type of endorsement, only accepted for value means you accept the conditions of the contract. So what happens is now you're doing almost the same thing I was kind of pointing out earlier, but now instead of the endorsement from before, you're going to do this endorsement, an acceptance for value endorsement, okay? Off of whatever it is that you're pulling from. So the SOS, this certificate of live birth accepted for conditional and continuous value, exempt from levy. So this is an endorsement you put on the back of his COLB. Here's the signature and the date. Deposit to the U.S. Treasury and charge same to the vessel, all caps name, private bankers. This is what he put on deposit. Okay, this is what all of the what's being bonded so you can draw from. All caps name, private bank, E&T, EIN number, and credit to the vessel. New not-for-profit banking routing number, checking account routing number. Open this day. I accept and endorse by my executive power of attorney. So he submitted a power of attorney. This is very common with the SPC process. This certificate of live birth presentment bearing the bond number. The bond number, this is the number on the back of his Social Security number. As a conditional, incremental, and continuous eminent domain claim against my assets held under the banking system of the Federal Reserve. My debit and credit assets all have been paid out by the FDIC performance bond. I now give notice and precip, I can't even say that the U.S. Treasury Federal Reserve liquidate the FDIC payment bond for processing of the assessment value and or performance, including all related endorsements. Front and back in the exchange for settlement accounting and immediately release of the proceeds to this vessel as listed above, according to the Uniform Commercial Code 10-104 and 1-104, as it has been adopted in this state of Ohio. House Joint Resolution, then he references that. Should any party require further information, this vessel can be contacted by mail, and then you sign as the exclusive power of attorney and as the individual banker. Now, what if you got, this was for the certificate of live birth. This is accepted for value. He's got another one. I think it's called banker's endorsement. I think this is it. There you go. Banker's acceptance for value per my individual EIN number. Because now you have your account credited, right? You did your endorsement on the back of the certificate of live birth. You got your green card. Everything through the TTNL is all set up, and through the IRS. So now you can do banker's acceptance for value on your bills. And you put down your individual banker's number because that's where all of your assets are being held and where you draw from. So now if you do future 1099As or something like that, and you're pulling from your individual banker's account, now you could do a 1099A, you could get your SF forms, and you could do this endorsement on the back of the bill with a cover letter and with your public notification of who you are, with the badge and all of that. And now you're all set. You got every bit of information you could possibly, and you're non-UCC, excuse me. And you got everything set. You literally covered every angle to do full discharge. The number one thing that was really the crux of this is understanding these performance and payment bonds and how it relates to our surety bonded accounts. And now that Patrick put that all together for us and was able to position himself in such a way for him to use his individual banker account to house all of his assets, it's now in one secure location and he has complete control under. More so, in his opinion, than a business trust. Okay, that should be good. See, that was a lot. That was a lot. Is your brain exploding? I was doing the most. I'm going to let you guys just sit and digest with that. Enough said. Please listen to this quite a few times. This is kind of the first introductory to this heavy of knowledge. I could go into a lot of descriptions and kind of break it down. There's just so much to understand. I mean, not only the basis of how the Treasury system works, but on top of that, you got the, establishing a UCC Contract Trust. And then you're throwing into that, what can I do right now and today? What can I get going? So all of these are the three kind of dimensions by which you're operating. And I just wanted to kind of present it as clean as possible, but I could not present it without reading Patrick's great works. I can't describe it as well as he does. So for the remainder of this session, there's just about 80 of you on the call. I'm going to be looking into the chats. I'm going to spend the remainder of the time answering questions and just kind of listening to what it is that you have to say. If you have a question, put it in the chat box. I will be now kind of checking that now that I saw the other day how many people are in there. But let's start off. Raise your hand as per usual. Let's go with Legacy Gold Lifeline.
Hi, Paul. My name's Debbie, actually.
Hey, Debbie.
And I just want to thank you so much for what you're doing. It's so important.
Yeah.
And I am very new to actually trying to learn this. I've known about these processes for a long time because I'm actually an acquaintance of the guy that actually got USFL started like 20 years ago.
Oh, gotcha.
He's like, here, read these 600-page books and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, just read it all. Where Patrick was like, let's put it in 6 pages.
So I kind of have been putting this off, but I'm like to the point of where it's like, you know what, you're going to have to buckle down, and I've stumbled, sort of magically across your videos and another lady who are using Patrick's processes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn this now. So the most intimidating thing is just the legal ease. I mean, I'm like trying so hard to like read these documents and not have them just make my brain explode. And so I did the homework and I said, okay, I'm going to read this establishing a UCC contract trust, and I'm going to go through the whole document. And so like one of the things that I want to get to the point of is knowing this stuff well enough that when you start submitting these documents that you literally know what you're talking about. And that particular document talks about this Administrative Procedures Act 5 USC 706 as this, mandate of why this is, valid. And so I went to look it up, and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. Like it didn't. I couldn't see any. First of all, it was hard to find, and then second of all, I was like,
is there a question in here?
Well, that's my question. Have you looked up the Administrative Procedures Act, and how is that the mandate for what this document, is all about? Because I didn't understand it at all. It went completely over my head.
Listen to it a couple more times. I understand what you're saying, because you're like, well, how's this administration act? How does this correlate with this? How does, USC Title 15 and, Title 11 come into this? And where does Article 4 come into that? And how does HJR 192 fit its hand inside of it and whatnot? You need to not focus on the details. You just need to focus on looking at who the players are and what the big picture is. You will stress your mind out coming into this truth movement, or whatever you want to call it, and try to read a 600-page document to educate yourself on a college level type course when you didn't even get the basics beforehand. Where I always tell everybody to start, if you want to kind of just get legalese knowledge, is start with the 4 endorsements. That's why I started on first day. I taught you guys, what was it? 30 words in 10 minutes. This document right here. All it is, hey, here in the middle is your debtor, okay? With most documents. Here's your living person. Here's the different accounts under which your surety is under. The military bailment, the Social Security account, and the Treasury bailment account as well. And here's all of the associated words with these accounts. Don't overcomplicate it. Like when someone says, hey, what's this marriage certificate? I just say that's a bailment. I'm like, well, who's the bailee and the bailor? I was like, well, I'm the bailor, and I'm instructing the bailee to take the funds from the bailment to offset the performance in the payment bond that's on the court case that I have, right? Or another thing, we went over obligations, obligations of the performance in the payment bond. Well, who is the obligee and who is the obligor? Well, the obligor is the one who had to do the surety bond for the payment of the performance bond. It had to be bonded and backed by somebody's credits. So I'm the obligee over that obligor for the obligation of the bonds. Just get the big picture. Here's all the definitions up here, but you can kind of get a good gist of what's going on. And I don't want you guys to rack your head over this. The freedom movement is supposed to be educated to children for them to easily understand. And if you don't understand it from a child's perspective, then you're going to get so lost yourself. And then when you try to describe it to other people, they're going to get lost. And then when they're lost, they're going to follow 20, 30 freaking different gurus and read 50 other books, when really they just need the really just the crux of the picture of what's going on. And then all your power will come to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
No problem. All right, Patrick, let's go to you.
Did you call me?
I did.
All right. Yeah. So, question for you.
Uh-huh.
What is the difference between the bill of credit and the bill of exchange? I heard you mention both of those. Thank you for all this information, by the way, and it has saturated my brain, but I don't even know where to start. But that's a good question. So.
Okay. A letter of credit is an agreement in which the buyer's bank, like the bank, guarantees to pay the seller's bank at the time that the goods or services are delivered. Okay. A bill of exchange is generally used in international trade activities where one party will pay a fixed amount of funds to another party at a predetermined date in the future.
Okay.
There you go.
So we're starting out of the gate. We're starting with the bill of credit. And then later,
It's a letter of credit. Your certificate of live birth, that's a letter of credit. That is your confirmation that you have money in the United States. One of the greatest examples, I remember when I first came into this truth movement, they said, oh, you should authenticate your birth certificate for Taiwan for some reason. And I think, okay, I have nothing to do on a Saturday. I'll do that. And then I shipped it off. Month later, got it back from Washington State, then went over, apostilled, and then sent over there. And then they get this little thing, and then it's like, oh, you got full faith and credit. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? And he's like, it's because it's a letter of credit. When you go to a foreign non-Hague Convention country, you can use that to draw out of your funds that are back at home. It's your rightful claim to the assets that were stolen for you. What was stolen from you is gold and silver. And so they had to give you a letter of credit in order for just exchangement for what they stole from you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so this new process that you presented, it's just adding on to everything, getting yourself more, established. And then you're able to use other tools and accounts to, stamp differently and do these things. It seems like
you could. I kind of just like the straight arrow. What's the simplest way for me to be a billionaire? That's what I want.
Right. Yeah. This time to mess around.
And so far, it's the SF30, 14, 14, 14, 16, 14, 18 with your non-UCC individual bankers individual bankers EIN, your state, your foreign grantor trust, and your identification cards, and then establishing a UCC contract trust.
Okay. And stamping with the acknowledgement of endorsement stamp that we started. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
No problem. All right, let's go to Laura. Laura.
Yes. Hello. So with the you said, because I'm already a secure party, I have everything back from Janet Yellen, the green card. So the number, the UCC Contract Trust. So I was under the assumption that that's your file number from the UCC.
The green card?
No, the file number that the UCC gives you.
Oh,
like
the file number that when you registered it with your state. Yes.
Okay, and then the TT and the L account is from the green card that I sent to Janet Yellen, or was that from the green card that I sent to the UCC?
It was. You should have got a return green card receipt.
From
you probably sent it to the IRS, huh?
I didn't send it to the IRS. I only sent it to Puerto Rico and Janet Yellen. Like that was the bond, like everything.
Oh, Janet Yellen. Yeah, she's the Secretary of the Treasury.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So you sent it to you sent it to the right place. Okay. You got the return receipt green card.
Yep. Yeah.
Now you're all set up. Now you're ready. You're fully
I know.
ready.
But
if you got the green and you sent out your second Treasury pack
to Puerto Rico, yeah.
Second Treasury pack to Janet.
Yes.
Okay. And it's past the 15 days?
Oh, this is back yeah, days and days. This is months now.
Okay, this is months. All right. Well, girl, you're a billionaire. Why are you even
I
in this
know,
class?
but
What's
that's
going
what
on?
I'm saying. Like the TT&L account, which number is that? What number is that?
The TT&L department?
It says the number which becomes the UCC contract, and the TT&L account number is from the certified mail green card. But which green card? I mean, I've
it's
sent
the form 3811, the green card that you got back
from the Department of the Treasury.
Yes.
Okay, that's all which is
There
actually
you
my
go.
bond number. Okay.
I know. It's you and like 4 or 5 other SPCs, and I'm like, why are you guys? What's going on? Why are we discharging like crazy every day? But it's yeah.
Because the process, like the afterwards, like I'm like, great, I'm a secure. This is like months I've been investigating to do all this, and it's just
yeah.
And if anybody needs to be a secured party, I'm not. This isn't. I did this months ago. Her name is April or June.
Yeah.
She has
got
a
April,
manual.
you got Yusuf, you got Gene Keating, you got everybody.
She has a book, and it goes
you
step
know,
by
like,
step. She's phenomenal.
Yeah. Right. So now, okay, Laura, you got what? You trying to discharge something? You want $1 million house? What's the deal? What do you want?
No, I want to just start submitting stuff like with the car, like, oh my God, there's so much stuff I want to do.
It's like, what? You got the credit?
I
What are
know.
we waiting on? All right, you think about that. You figure out what it is that you want. You're getting more information. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Let me go on to the next person.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. BJ Mack.
Greetings. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, if I did a secure party, the secure party, a few years ago, but not with the green card. I did it online. So I did it wrong. I need to redo it and turn it to be the non-UCC.
Yeah, exactly. You need to do a non-UCC, so then you're started there, and just do your non-UCC. We're gonna get into more stuff. Patrick Devine's got a whole transfer by deed situation. He's got his own documents to the TT&L. A lot of this stuff you're gonna start hearing. You'll be like, oh, I've seen other people do these same processes. It's kind of a lot of a rinse repeat. I was even thinking about setting up my own kind of instructional video based off of what Patrick Devine did, and then everybody could do that. I'll have to do that for the website at some point. But yeah.
You talked about the authenticated birth certificates. Is that the one that you did the endorsement in? I mean, on the back, the one that was authenticated, or just get a certified copy and start from scratch with that?
Yeah, no, all I did was, because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't go to Taiwan, is basically what happened. But if I wanted to go to Taiwan, I now have an authenticated birth certificate that says it's full faith and credit. And so now I could go to a bank counter in Taiwan and say, hey, here's my letter of credit. I need like 20,000 Petro Won or whatever you guys use. And they're like, okay, here you go. Have a nice day. We'll charge you back.
That's the only value of doing the authentication that we've done.
That's it. Yeah, if you're going to a foreign country, that's non-Hague. Otherwise, no point.
Oh, God. Thank you.
I know. Everybody is like, I got it authenticated. I like that it's authenticated because it kind of just proves to me, because it says full faith and credit on there. But, I mean, it's not necessary. Unless you're going to Taiwan. I ain't leaving nowhere. The world's crazy enough right now. All right, let's go on to the next person. Let's go to Danny Max. Okay. Danny's on mute. All right, let's go to DW Consultants.
Hey, Paul Michael, how's it going?
Going so good. Great to hear from you again.
You too. Thank you so much for that reading. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen to it again. There's so much in there. Yeah. And I was surprised you didn't stop and take a drink of water, because my voice would be.
I wanted to.
You did it well. I just have 2 logistical questions. One is about the volunteer positions you offered for people to email you their resume.
Yes, absolutely.
I just got an auto response back, so I just want to make sure that was the right email address.
Totally, that's the right email. I was gonna create a second one. No, thank you for all of y'all that volunteered. I probably got maybe 15 or 20 people, and I still need more. This is quite an ambitious endeavor of what we're trying to do. I have somebody now or a couple messages from people that said, hey, I'm an ID and badge maker. I'm already trying to set up because in my personal career, when I was doing healthcare licensing, I did healthcare licensing for all 50 states in the US for home care businesses, assisted living, and stuff like that. And one of the things is if you're doing licensing for healthcare people with the Department of Health, is I needed to be power of attorney over all of these accounts, or at least my legal team. And so what we would do is we would get the power of attorney forms. We'd have the individual come in and sign all the contracts, but then we needed to go get a notary to witness that, hey, we're going to be power of attorney over that. Well, if I'm doing all 50 states in the country, I ain't driving to Iowa. So what we did we did online notaries all the time. My schedule is filled with that. So what I like to do is incorporate online notaries to the website. That'll give people jobs.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be good. So,
That's awesome. That's so it's super exciting. I'm so excited. So hopefully, you know, my resume will see more than I'll hear back from you.
I got you saved. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Okay. And then the other quick question is, last class, those of us in the chat had talked about connecting to do like study groups and stuff like that. Would you have any problem with me posting the WhatsApp invite link in the chat here, or?
Yeah, no problem. That's why I want to build the website, because, you know, we can have chat features and people connect and stuff like that. I wonder if there's a faster way to, I just got to build the website. I don't really have
what's your Snapchat?
Well, I'm happy to interface with you once the website's built, you know, and just keep that connection open. We can all move over there, or whatever we need to do at that point. I'm sure we
still need website help developers. So shout out to that. And we're putting it all together still. It'll come together.
It's a lot. I know.
It is a lot. It is a lot. Exciting developments, though, with one person that I'm working closely with. We will have all of the Patrick Devine final process video audios posted. I'm not waiting like 1 to 2 days. I'm just data dropping all of those final videos. So then you can listen to me. You can listen to the Patrick Devine final videos. I mean, all of y'all should have it already from the 37 to 42 files.
Amazing.
And then y'all should, and then I just need to organize the documents that go with each video. So that'll be a little bit, but those are my foundational. It's like picking up Patrick and listening to him all the time. But thank you for that. I appreciate it, DW.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go. Let me look at the chats. Okay, once we have a private bank, grantor trust, and banker established, can we receive bills of credit on a stage from another person's private bank to purchase something? Okay, a transfer? You can definitely do transfers. We'll have to get into this a little bit later. There's the famous now Treasury Direct packet that Patrick Devine has. It's inside the files of 37 to 42 that you all have access to. And it is a huge packet. It looks like this. TDA accounts. It's thick. You know, it's Patrick's great works written all in this, and all the people that are part of his group. They posted in 2017. I think they took excerpts from a conversation with Chris, who was a part of the group very heavily. And so he kind of talked about how to fill these out. So there's an instructional. Highly recommend you get this. There's the examples on how to set the TDA account, the FS forms that you got to fill out. And it's a step-by-step guide. It's highly great, educational. It's all inside one how-to.
That's beautiful, Desjardins.
Yeah, man. So let's go on to Leon.
Testing.
Yeah, what's up, Danny Max?
Oh, okay, cool. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, go
All
for
right,
it.
thank goodness. All right. Thank you for all you do, man. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. I have a court case right now, believe it or not, for firewood in my front yard. And I got a citation from code enforcement. Well, I missed court. I just didn't go. And I was wondering, can you use any of those SF forms to pay a bond? Because when I missed court, they gave me a bond, or should I just go straight for the settlement of the case?
That is what settling is. When you
Okay.
go to court and you sit in front of the judge and everybody there, the first thing that I would say is, I'm here to settle. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to talk back and forth. I'm here to settle this case. And from right there, you can say, I want to use the payment or the performance bond or any other bond that's on the case. Maybe there's an appearance bond or something like that. You say, I want to use that bond in order to pay for the settlement of the charges that I'm brought upon here today.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll take your SF30, 1414, 1416, 1418, or if there's an appearance bond, you just take your SF30. There's probably in a GSA form for an appearance bond, and you just liquidate that. I knew a guy that Patrick was talking about, so I didn't know him. He knew him. And he would get speeding tickets. The speeding ticket would be for $400, but the appearance bond was for $600. So the dude went into court, says, hey, I'm the bailor over the bailment, which is the appearance bond, and I'm instructing the liquidation from my bailee for the settlement of this case.
That's awesome.
And I want a receipt or a check for the remainder. So now the bill's paid, and he walked out with $200.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: if I guess secured party process would have to be done first. Set up the AINs basically, and
set up the EINs, get your non-UCC, get your register mail to yourself, do the register mail of your identification and all that, and you'd be good.
And then do I submit those documents with the SF forms?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Otherwise, they're gonna be like, thanks for an SF form, but who's in charge here? Because the court, the bank, everybody's gonna say, I have a priority lien over you, and you need to show a superior contract.
Gotcha.
Show them.
One other quick question. Maybe it isn't so quick, but basically, you didn't go through anything with how to protect your kids from the state. Filing, if you could file anything, put the birth certificates up on UCC or anything like that. Do you know anything about that process?
Yeah, I mean, well, what do you want to? Well, what's the situation that they need protection from? Because most of the time, it's from the Child Protective Services.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You have to liquidate the contracts that you made with the state, and you made your children a ward of the state when you signed that marriage contract.
Or even just the birth certificate in the hospital, or the when you signed the.
No, that's your claim. That's your land. That's your claim to your inheritance. I mean, you could do a registration in a Bible as your county record and stuff like that, but it's the marriage license that puts you under the ward of the state, and you put your children under that too. So to free your kids or anybody from any bondage, including your driver's license, is you got to liquidate the bond that's attached to each one of those UCC Contract Surety Trust accounts.
I don't follow you exactly. So
you have a driver's license, right?
Yes, but so as far as my kids go, though, I have a driver's license. So that you're talking about liquidate all the contracts that I have with the state?
Yeah, because the contract with the state for your marriage license is that I get to take your kids.
Right. Yeah,
That's
and
where you need to break that bondage.
so
Break
so is there anything that you would need to do in order to protect your kids other than severing your own ties from the state?
You need to liquidate the bond. If you liquidate the bond, then there's no tie to you and the state anymore. That's
Okay.
the only tie.
And then
as soon-
that puts the umbrella over my kids then at that point if I'm not tethered to the system.
Yeah, and you get paid. It's a
Hey, can't
win-win.
complain with that. Yeah, I can't complain with that.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, I just made a couple $1 million off of my marriage certificate, and the government doesn't hold me anymore. What a deal. What a
Yeah,
deal.
can't complain with that. All right, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, Patrick had it down. All right, well, thank you. All right, let's go on to Ruby or Leon. Leon, sorry, I'm skipped. I know, I'm going all over the place. Leon, go for it.
Hey, how you doing, Paul? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hey, I got two questions. I just got my EIN number for the Foreign Grantors Trust, and when I talked to the IRS agent, she put me for the checkout when we was checking out the options and stuff. She checked out the box trust, and she said I couldn't put other because I'm trying to establish a trust. Would that be a problem?
You called Philadelphia?
Yeah, I called Philadelphia. They transferred me to Ogden, Utah, because I guess that's the one that handles the foreign trust.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And second question, when I did a UCC one to see if I had a lien against my name, I just found out that I do, but I'm current up on my business loan, but they have a lien against my name. How do I offset that if I can't get the superior contract with my non-UCC?
I hear you. So you're still going to do your non-UCC, okay?
Okay.
Still going to do that. Innocent, not legal advice. Go ahead and consult an attorney. This is for entertainment purposes only. Who's got the lien on you? Is it a bank?
What? It was SBA, Small Business Association.
Okay, so you got the SBA, right?
Yeah, correct.
So the SBA, when they gave you a loan for a small business, right?
Correct.
Okay. Where did they get the assets for that loan? Did you have to give them your social security number?
I had to do all that, signature and all.
There you go. It's literally no different than all of these other contracts that you do. What you need to do is you need to liquidate the bonds associated with that contract that you signed with it by doing a modification of the contract. It's right in the small print, and say, hey, liquidate to fulfill the payment of this bond. I'm now the secured party ahead of you. Remember when we read the UCC 9, when there's multiple secured parties, that there's a senior and a junior? You come in as the senior and also the owner of that contract to modify it, and now the liquidation fulfills the payment, which then cancels the lien.
Ah, okay. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, no problem. Always look where all this stuff goes. Dr. Mary, go for it.
Yes, on the SF 14, 14, and 16 and 18, do we always use our secured, not their secure party, our private bank EIN?
Yes, because that's the secured party over your debtor's surety.
Right. Okay, super. So the individual principal is always the individual banker, and then the corporate principal would be the private bank ENT.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it. Awesome.
Yay.
I'm gonna look at the chats. What's going on in chats? With the SS4 for estate online EIN application, it asks for the executor's SSN, and that number can't be the same as my strawman SSN. What number do we put there? It is the same. It is the same number. I think I got this question before. If it asks for the executor's SSN, you're the executor, and that number can't be the same as my straw man's. So what do we put there? Why can't you do that? You see, the SSN number is two things. It's an account and routing number. The SSN with the dashes is the routing number. The SSN without the dashes is the account number. So when we're talking, so that's why I put it into various questions just like that.
Sorry,
So yeah.
I did it online, and the actual application says that, and I did it anyways. I did the same, my SSN number anyways, but it gives you the 3 little boxes. So the dashes are input via the internet.
Gotcha.
But it did
And
give
then
it to me
denied you?
anyways. No, I got a number, and I got an EIN anyways. I wanted to ask about that too. That wasn't my question, but I wanted to ask that as well. And I had a question because I have a Treasury Direct account, but I have it with my Bank of America, and I was wondering, can I link I got the EIN I got my bank, you were talking about on the second video. So I made my bank. I have the EIN number for a bank, individual bank. I'm so sorry. I'm very new and very nervous talking to you right now. Can I and how would I link my private bank to the Treasury Direct?
No, that's.
Or should I not even do that?
Get this. Grab this document. Okay.
Okay.
It's so well organized. The form you're looking for within this packet is the Okay, certificate ID, online transaction request. FS form 5446 or FS form 5179.
Okay.
5446 is offline transaction requests, request for payment of U.S. security. TD security. Yeah, I think it's 5179. FS form 5179. Treasury Direct security transfer request.
Oh, okay.
You want to transfer securities on your account, which people put their certificate of live birth and whatnot, and they want to transfer it to another entity. The FS form 5179 is what you would use to do that. This is a great document, guys. Get your hands on it, print it. It's quite a few pages, but it sets it all up for you. And I rely on this as my little cheat sheet.
What's it called?
TD accounts.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Sure.
Let's see. Let's go. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top now. Let's go to Simba.
How you doing?
Yeah, you're doing well.
I wanted to find out if the EIN, so you have the 98 number, and my other two, for the estate and for the private, they both were 99. Does it matter about the number?
No, they change those numbers all the time.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I saw 45s. Patrick was talking about the 45s being.
Yeah, that was just his number during that time, and then their numerical system changes with the number of applications.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Deep end.
Yeah, I had a question on the first class. You talked about some of the fraudulent stuff that the courts were doing.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if you had like 1 or 2 sentences that would maybe alert the court that you know, but you don't want to cause alarm.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Judge, I have my SF30, 1414, 1416, 1418, non-UCC, and my da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm just here to settle the account.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Okay. One other thing, I just had a little bit of conflict with talking to the setting up the FGT, with the agents on the phone and just picking a location. Now, I originally tried to let them know that, hey, this is in the United States of America and not in the United States, and they weren't having any of that. So that led me to like, hey, what do we do with expressing that it's a foreign grantor trust without not telling the truth?
Well, you tell the truth. You don't lie. You don't lie to these IRS agents. You're like, hey, I'm here to set up a trust. Okay.
No, I mean, but people are just picking a location in some other country.
Just pick Taiwan.
But is that truthful?
I mean, they're already operating fraud.
That doesn't mean that two wrongs don't make it right. I'm just saying, could this come back on you later? I mean, if you know what I'm saying?
This is your when you're setting up this the foreign grantor trust or your state EIN or your individual banker's EIN, you don't operate in fraud. You accurately portray who that you are. It's just that you're foreign. You're foreign to what? That's the question you need to ask. What am I foreign to? Are you foreign to the U.S. corporation for profit, or are you foreign to the U.S. Republic? Really, when you operate in a foreign capacity, you're being a part of the U.S. Republic. And that's the same thing when you do your taxes. You do and you do that 1040 form, and they have 4 different listings of what your status is. Are you a U.S. citizen? Are you a non-citizen national? Are you a constitutional republic? And then there's like one more. And then you gotta tell them what jurisdiction that you're falling under. I mean, if you're having a little crisis with this about the foreign status, I can understand what you're saying and where you're coming through. You gotta just discover that for yourself.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not here to give legal advice or to tell you to do one thing or another. This is all for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, I just wanted to caution people because I had a discussion and everybody's running so quickly at this. Just be careful.
Mm-hmm. All right, and let's go to Ruby Sun. I'm just picking people I haven't heard from yet.
Greetings, Paul. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, doing super good. Happy to be with y'all.
All right. Perfect. My first question, during the beginning of the call, while you were reading through section 1 of the functions and mechanics portion, it comes from here, it goes to there, processed by this one, so and so needs a warrant and authority. Is our player listed in there, or are those just the entities on that side? You know how we get our badge and we've got the banker's EIN. So it was our playing piece listed as one of those authorities.
I was specifically when it called out you. This is where you, the living, come in. Let me find, what section are you looking at?
It was in section 1.
You're the Article 4 individual banker over your disbursement officer.
Okay.
That's what it is. Your disbursement officer is the one that holds the assets and the funds that you're giving the instruction to the treasurer or the auditors to go ahead and fulfill the credits using your SF 1047 and SF 30 forms.
And when we send that through the post office, the delivery happens once they scan it in.
Well, the delivery happens when it's actually delivered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Secondary question. There is a little bit of controversy here and there when it comes to using that HJR 192. So in your opinion of things, instead of citing it on the paperwork as HJR 192, can we agree that using joint resolution of June 5th, 1933 would be equivalent?
Yeah, totally
Okay.
fine. Yeah, you can put
Thank
whatever
you.
you want on that bottom line of the non-UCC.
Thank you. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. If you're just like, I just feel like it's better worded when I use the, the terminology that's used from the law books, which usually is the court action. Then yeah, you can do that.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, what other questions do we have in the chat? Everybody wants to be in a study group. I feel it. Yeah, y'all should get in a study group though. That's how you expand your learning quite significantly. And then I would recommend y'all put into the comments who wants to, and then coordinate with one another. Because this is a lot to kind of take in. All right, I'm not really seeing. Okay. All right, let's go to N. Lee, E-U-N Lee. What happened to Gangster Grandma from yesterday? I haven't seen her.
I gonna be grandma soon.
Here. Stop picking on me.
Hustling grandma. There she is.
I'm here.
Sheila, I'm here. I forget about shit.
Don't start picking on me. I'm listening.
I know. Okay. That was just.
I have a question about, for instance, my mom we have a test certificate for the parents.
Oh, yeah.
What do we do with that? They have a lot of funds in there or no?
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah, what happens is that gets into like that's another thing. Patrick went into that quite extensively, where you got the Secretary of State, who's kind of the holder of all these death certificates. If a claim doesn't get made in, I think, about 10 years, the Secretary of State could then make the claim against those death certificates to then go ahead and funnel the assets over to their accounts. Another huge part of the fraud. Yeah, you would do an eminent domain claim. You'd say, hey, I'm now taking control over it because the person's deceased and their assets are now passed on to you. So I'm going to do an eminent domain claim, and I'm going to liquidate the bonds that are associated with this and transfer it to my private bank.
Oh, I see. And then for instance, let's say my mom cannot speak English, so I can be a power of attorney and then claim that as well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can claim it. Yeah, if you're a power of attorney, you're like, hey, I want this, and I want to be yeah, absolutely, you could.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's your family's inheritance.
Oh, so you said go through the FS form. I found that, I don't know the number, but the fiscal service, they have some sort of a claim form that I think related to. Do you know anything about it?
Let's repeat that again.
I found that a couple of forms that you can claim in a fiscal service form, FS form. Do you know anything about FS form that claim those tax certificates?
Oh no, I'm not too familiar. There's a lot of them though.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Last few here. Roger Wilson.
Hi, I'm not Roger, I'm his wife, but I have a question.
Can we do an affidavit in place of the identification process that you were talking about with the badge and everything? Can we do?
Yeah, it's basically an affidavit. Yeah, you're invoking.
Okay, so in the affidavit, I can just simply claim, or I can simply just say I'm invoking my rights in the affidavit.
Yeah, and you have a public notary to go over it. Again, I'm trying to work on somebody who can just put together that template and then plug in faces, names, numbers, and stuff for everybody while also doing IDs at the same time. So then it's just one simple process to push it through. I know it does take some editing effort to do that. I try to leave it up there for all of you to do what you can with it. But yes, you absolutely can do that. You'll register, mail it to yourself after you get the notary. Get the notary first, then register, mail it to yourself, and register, mail a copy, not the original. Okay, and let's go to Mary.
Hi, I have one last question, and that is on the form 1418, where on the second page it says bond premium rate per thousand. How do we come up with the bond premium? And then it asks for the total amount.
You can't put the total amount. You don't know how much is on the bond. You leave that blank.
So we just leave it blank. Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing that you, I mean, unless they come out and tell you how much the bond is, which they won't.
Yeah.
Then,
Do we make some sort of acknowledgement there, like unknown, or?
You could put NA.
Yeah, just because there's nothing else on page 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Okay, and then I'm gonna have let.
You could call me L.
L. Great.
Yeah,
All
just call
right,
me L. What's going on, Paul? Thank you for the wisdom.
No problem.
I have the 1047 and the SF30 that goes along with the other forms.
Yes.
Okay. I've been waiting for disability for like 4 years. I have a lawyer dealing with it, and they just did a reconsideration. These forms will help me circumvent that quickly.
So you're trying to get back money that you already spent?
No, I'm trying to get disability from Social Security.
Oh, okay. So you want to liquidate the Social Security account?
I do, and I already have my SSS as well as my birth certificate on a UCC and a secured party and a QSIP on the public side.
Is your individual banker the secured party?
I just made it the secured party now.
Oh, okay, great. It's great.
And I have all the foreign granted trust, the estate. I have all that now.
And all right, then you just need your SF30, 1414, 1416, and 1418, and get good at giving direction. Remember, if you're saying I'm going to pull funds from the performance bond on your SF30 modification of contract, make sure that you're putting on the SF1418 the matching amount.
Okay.
I've noticed 3 or 4 people, when they were sharing their examples with me, that they would fill out the SF30 like perfectly, but then they wouldn't represent the amount on that account as well. And you just need kind of practice, kind of messing with words. Again, there's no exact science to what it is that you should or should not say. It's just that you have to just be very eloquent about being precise in what you're asking for.
Okay. And one more question. I see that we have the estate number, and the only thing I know about the estate number is every time I try to open that account in the bank, they would tell me I need a death certificate. In addition, I have a living trust, and I can't get it open because they're always asking for proof of funds. So today I went to Charles Schwab, and I actually was finding out some information about taking my certificated security and putting that into securities account to try to fund that. Just stay on the private side with what you're doing, and I don't need to do that.
Yeah, just stay as private as you can. Just like, And again, don't think of small stuff. I know you're trying to establish a bank account and trying to do this, and you should have a non-interest bearing account at a commercial bank. Honestly, you shouldn't be at a commercial bank at all. But if you have an existing account that you want assets, funneled over to, just release the bonds of whatever you're trying to do and give the instruction to have it deposited into a commercial bank. In this case, you're trying to liquidate your Social Security. So you could give the instructions on where you want that to go. If you have a TDA account or a Treasury Express card or, something else. I mean, shoot, people can even take out the bonds that are written against an EBT card and have it deposited.
Okay.
You could go to a hospital and say, hey, I want to liquidate this bond and just keep it on file on a health savings account and just create that for me, please. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility you can have.
And I just need you to break this down to me just a little more. I see that we're saying we can send the funds to a commercial bank, but for example, when we have this money come into our private bank, how are we getting that to a debit card? How are we getting that to be tangible in our hands? That's what I'm not catching.
Got you. You, as far as tangibility with a debit or credit card with the account that's attached to there, there would need to be a service company that would have to do, because it's so private.
Right.
I would just liquidate it. Bury gold in your backyard. Have a bunch of cash.
But Macy's doesn't take gold. I need to find a way to get it.
You can take it in any form of monetary money you want. Anything that you think of. When you're liquidating a bond and giving instruction, or you're doing a withdrawal from your bank, private bank, you can give instructions for it to be deposited in any way that you like. You can have someone send you a check. You can have your private bank send you a check through the Treasury Department and then have the check sent directly to your house. You take the check, you go to a local MoneyGram, you say, hey, I got literally a check from the Treasury Department. Can I deposit this and withdraw?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. This was fun.
You're fun.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you all for joining in today's lesson. This was a lot to learn. I wanted to go over other stuff, but I was really looking at the other two documents. It's a lot for you guys to digest already. I know you have a lot of questions already. I hope this was educational. We're going into the final 4th day. I may have to push it over to a 5th day. Possibly, I'm going to see how my next presentation is going to go on. But for those of you that have been supporting this channel and my efforts in kind of disseminating this information, and for showing me so much love online and also in the comments and to your emails, I super appreciate it. You guys have been just so supportive. I feel more confident going about these processes. I also want to encourage all, that this is a group effort. Your experiences, your reactions that you get from others, or from your processes, I want to hear about them. This is not for me to be just the only person trying it out. But then again, you do things to your own discretion. I'm not here to encourage anything one way or another, but I do want the best for everybody. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next time, which will be next week, Tuesday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, no problem, y'all. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. And the East Coast, it's late and stuff like that. Look forward to it. Have a great rest of your night, y'all. This has been Paul Michael. Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Good night, everybody.
I'm getting a Snapchat, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Snapchat.
Have a good weekend. Get some rest.
Thank you.
Hey, who's sending out that email for that group?
Paul.
Thank you. Who's sending out that?
That's me. That's me, DW. I did send it out, and I also posted the WhatsApp link in the chat. If you didn't get the email, but if you want to drop your email real quick, I can forward it to you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the WhatsApp for sure. I
Yeah,
just
we're all
downloaded
having
it and I
trouble
only
with
see one
WhatsApp.
other person.
I
But
think
it's
a lot
not
of
like
us
I
are.
can't communicate.
Mine won't
Okay.
download.
What about a
We'll
Facebook
follow up with
group?
it on Tuesday. Then I'll look into it. I have a bunch of people in here already though that were successful, so I'll try to get the emails out and we'll follow up on Tuesday.
Awesome. Thanks
Okay.
for doing that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye,
you so
everyone.
much.
Hello, who was that was accepting emails? Let me see if I can get her email and I'll try and plug it into the comments.
You guys, I don't know if you're aware, but he's still recording. And last class, it was going on like that with no one being there for a while. I mean, like on YouTube.
I just hopped back on in
Open
case
mic.
anyone was still here.
How do you fucking listening?
See y'all later. Have a good weekend.
Good, going strong now, huh? Up to McDonald's. PC McDonald's. Mm. 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 Nada mala. Hmm. Some full of those, eh? Okay. A little bit more. Oh, you crock of crocs. Crock of crocs. There you go. Mm. First of all, it's got to go here. Second of all, son of a biscuits, man. So how do you do this shit? That's what I don't understand. How do you do this? Mira, hijo de su madre, hombre. Shit, man. So how do you get in the fucking call? Son of a bitch. Ah, Lord.